Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Craig. This is Mutt's Gear Shack. Got another unboxing for you guys today, so let's just get to it and see what we got. We've got Chimebag, replica of the Trendkill guitar. You know, I've been looking for replicas of these. They're so expensive. This was not a super great one, but it's not bad. It does have the skull, the skull on the back of it. It's not as accurate as the real deal, that's for sure. But it doesn't look terrible. Fretboard feels pretty smooth. Frets aren't terrible. I'll give them a little polish. But so let's set up, put some new strings on it, and do a playing demo. Let's get a closer look. Measurements here, got a nut width 42.77 millimeter or 1.683 inches. Width at the 12th fret 54.08 millimeter or 2.129 inches. Neck depth at the 1st fret 24.67 millimeter or 0.971 inches. And neck depth at our 12th fret, 0.963 inches or 24.47 millimeter. It's a fairly thick, I'd say more of a medium thickish C-shaped neck. My Great Wall of China, or my Great Wall of Dime, is pretty much complete. I'm looking for concrete sledge yet. I've not seen it pop up. Gonna add a Dean from Hell, but I'll be adding a real Dean from Hell. The ones I'm buying here are the ones that you can't get affordable, so that's why I've been buying these. So, but the Dean from Hell, I'm gonna get a real Dean. Yeah, we got the neck pretty flat. Check for some high frets. And a little bit right there. Yeah, we got some. So we got a few high frets here. So it's not terrible. So we may be able to work with it. Right here's kind of the worst spot, it seems like. So I'm working on getting the tools to do a fret level, so we'll be doing something like that in the future here. But we definitely have a couple high frets. But our back bow has come out, so that's good. These would be cheap pickups like usual. You know, some of them, they don't actually sound terrible, but don't sound great neither. And they usually squeal. Pickup or tuners I'm not so worried about, because once you get a good lock nut, which these are junk, these always want to strip out. So if you get a good lock nut and bridge on, your tuners are fine. Honestly, some of these I've been buying are mostly just going to be wall hangers. I've got so many player guitars. I'll start modding these things, you know, one at a time, but I'm not in a big hurry to do all of them. So I'm going to pick, like the slime is my favorite. So I may start with it first and then just slowly mod these over time. Like I said, I'm not in a big giant hurry to do it. Yeah, fretboard's not terrible, but it's not fantastic either. I may hit the fretboard just with some steel wool. Oh yeah, that's smoothing that right up. You don't want to be too aggressive with it, but oh yeah. You know, funny enough, our neck pickup is in upside down. Fret ends are balled over nice. Yeah, frets didn't require any other work other than the steel wool. I just did some steel wool on them, and that was good enough. So we use some of our Dunlop fretboard conditioner, or fretboard cleaner in prep. I always say conditioner, but it's just a cleaner, I guess. I'll let this stuff dry good, and then we'll condition our fretboard. I don't know what kind of wood they're using on these. It could be anything. It is a solid wood on the bodies. It's not a plywood body or anything like that. It is solid wood, but the fretboard wood, it's wood. It's an open grain. I can see it's porous, but I'm sure it's a low grade of something. You know, you can't get these and expect that you're going to get high grade woods and good pickups, and it's just not going to happen. These are just cheaply made replicas, and honestly, I mean, I have a real Washburn Dime 333 Dime Slime, and you know, it's an import guitar. It's cheap too. It was made cheap. It's not a whole lot better than these are. You know, it's just a licensed guitar from the early 2000s. These aren't bad. I wish they wouldn't put the stuff on the headstocks. You know, that does suck that they do, but they do it. So it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about that. You'll say, well, don't buy them. Well, if you don't want to buy them, don't buy them. You know, everybody's got the freedom to do what they want to do. Can't afford to buy the real version of these things, so I buy the replicas. And I'm slowly removing the decals on the headstocks, the finish, and I'm redoing them with custom decals. So that's going to be off of there. So let's take our back plate off, see what we got going on in here. The alien skull, you know, and then the finish on this thing, for one, these are all just decals. They put a decal on this thing and they've cleared over it. The alien skull is a little cheesy looking, but you know, if you want the real deal, it's going to cost you a whole lot of money. I mean, the original, there's a guy I seen on the internet, I'll stick a picture in. He got one painted, a Trendkill painted by the guy that done dimes, and it took him a couple years, I believe he said, several years, and I'm sure it was super expensive. Even the import version that Washburn made, the alien back one, or I was offered one for $5,000. So even the imports are ridiculously expensive. So that's kind of interesting how they decided to do that. So there's just nothing. It's evidently the decal. You can kind of see when it doesn't really line up that well. You just gotta roll with this. You know, this should be more right here, and they totally botched that. So it would be more like this to get it right. So they got it here. So none of this lines up. But you know, it is what it is, guys. It does have the alien on the back, and you know, it's a little cheesy, but it's still kind of cool at the same time. Don't know what that is. Just says 7 on the back of there. No small pots in there. All right, strings I'm going to be putting on this. I really like these Ernie Ball hybrid slinkies. They're 9 to 46 gauge. I've been putting these on all my guitars. Really like these. Lighter gauge here, and then you get a little bit heavier on the bass strings. Great strings though. All right, that's dried up good. So we'll put some of our Dunlop lemon oil on the fretboard. All right, we'll let that soak in for a few minutes, and then we'll wipe off the excess. Pull out our neck pickup and flip it over. It's definitely not right. And we can take a look inside our pickup cavity, see what we got going on there, see if we got any markings on our pickups. There's inside our neck pickup cavity. We just have some Chinese writing and 50, which I've seen on the other guitars I've got. Not much to see in there. Everybody strings a Floyd Rose a little differently. I just leave the ball end on and the headstock, pull it through the tuner, bring it back past the bridge just a bit, snip off the string, and that's it. Alright, let's get the rest of the strings on. String height, because we're a little low. So we need to raise up our bridge a little bit. Alright, we're going to be good there. We're way high on the bass side. About 150 on the low E side. Check my high E again, just to be sure. Alright, go up a little bit. It was way out of whack. This thing was not playable out of the box at all. Alright, our pickup readings here on our bridge pickup. 12.12, neck 0.834, and middle 4.949 or 4.951. Alright, before we get into the playing demo, go over a couple of things on this thing. Again, the hardware is absolutely garbage. I had to be very careful with the lock nut because it was wanting to strip. It stays in tune reasonably well, surprisingly. I'll show a little bit of trem bar use, but the trem arm actually bent while I was using it. So the hardware is just cheap crap, which I expected. The bones itself, they're not bad. Almost every one of these things, though, needs fretwork, and that's an issue. This thing has a couple high frets. I've got it playable, but it's not great, and it needs a fret level. The fret ends didn't need dressed on this one, but they've needed dressed on almost all the other ones I've gotten. And I decided to do a light polish on these frets. So when you get these things out of the box, most of the time they're not playable. If you get one that is, it's great. You hit the jackpot. Looks-wise, you know, it looks okay. It's not perfect. It looks very similar to the import. Trendkill guitar that Washburn put out, but it's definitely not even close to, you know, the USA custom that Dime had. But it looks decent enough. It looks cool hanging on the wall, and it doesn't play half bad. The necks on these things are just thick, though. People ask about that all the time. Is it a V-shape? They've never been a V-shape. I bought quite a few of these things, and they were always a very full C-shape, which you've seen in the specs earlier in the video. With the hardware swap, pickup swap, you know, you'd have a good gigging guitar. You can make it playable, but you got to be able to do some of the work yourself. If you're going to send it off to somebody, then, you know, you're going to spend some money. Knock the bumblebee sideways. So, with that being said, let's hear what this thing sounds like. You know, with a reasonable, decent amp, you can get a lot of tones out of this thing. But here in the room, you know, maybe it doesn't come across through the GoPro, but here in the room, it doesn't sound half bad. It definitely could benefit from, you know, better pickups. I mean, I'm sure it would sound so much better, but it doesn't seem to get really microphonic like the other ones. If I get the fret situation sorted out, which I'm going to, I'm ordering the tools I need to do a fret level. If I can get that sorted out, because there's some spots here that it's a little buzzy, and they're definitely too high. So if I get that sorted out, I think it'd be a pretty solid player. The only thing that kind of holds me back on these things of doing a lot of mods is the size of the neck. The necks are pretty big. I have shaved some necks down with some decent success, and I'm probably going to try it on one of them and see how it goes. Eventually, I've got so many guitars here, and you know, my main players. I bought most of these because I'm a huge Dimebag Darrell fan, and I just like looking at them. I just put them up on the wall, and I get them down every now and then and jam on them. But, you know, they're not really my main players. So, you know, to spend a lot of money on these, you know, I don't know. Eventually I will. I'll take one and I'll mod it completely out. And then do an updated video on that. But overall, you know, I'm pretty happy with it. It's, you know, out of the box, you know, it sucked. And you're going to get it. And if you don't know how to set a guitar up or do some of the work, you're going to hate it. And you're going to think it's complete garbage. And some people are going to think it's complete garbage even if they can do it because they're just gear snobs. For the rest of us that want a solid player and want one of the dime guitars, can't afford the insane dime tax that are on these things, this is kind of our only option. And you can get these, you can mod them up, and you can have a pretty solid player, and it looks cool as hell hanging on the wall. So, thanks for watching, guys. I truly appreciate all the comments, the likes. You know, I'm over 2,300 subscribers. You know, I truly appreciate it. You know, that's just freaking awesome. So, thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.